My name is Neely Faulkner. I'm with Overwatch Technology. We are a managed security service provider, or MSSP for short. Our company provides services like cybersecurity monitoring and mitigation, IT infrastructure management, IT support, and a whole lot more. And in honor of Cybersecurity Awareness Month, we thought it'd be a really great idea to talk a little bit about the basics of cybersecurity, why it's important, and how you can help your home or your business to be a lot more cyber aware. First, let's understand why being cyber aware is so important to begin with. Because in today's hyper connected world, cyber awareness isn't just a good idea, it's absolutely crucial for your personal and professional business. So, first things first, the world of cyber threats is like a shape shifting puzzle. Because as tech evolves and we rely more on digital stuff, the bad guys really get smarter. We've got to be on our toes and understand how these threats keep changing. Instead of waiting around for trouble, cyber awareness helps us to really be proactive. It's like putting on a seatbelt before you start the car or something, and it's all about setting up your defenses before you even need them. So you put your seatbelt on in anticipation of driving your car, and you may or may not use that seatbelt or have a need for it, but it's still there in case you do need it. And cybersecurity works the same way. So I want you to picture this. Imagine you're walking through a forest and you spot some strange footprints. And no, I don't mean Bigfoot, but just weird footprints. You don't just ignore them, right? Well, in the digital world, those footprints are really like a warning sign of suspicious activity. And knowing how to spot them early can really save the day. So we first need to face facts that it's not a matter of if, but when an attack might happen. And being cyber aware just really means you're preparing for that when. So I want you to keep in mind as we go through this presentation, cyber awareness isn't just well, it's not just a buzzword, it's your digital survival kit. All right, now that we've established why cyber awareness is a big deal, let's get to know who your digital adversaries are. So, understanding these online villains is your ticket to staying safe in the digital realm. So, I really need you to pay attention. First up, we have these sneaky little things called phishing schemes. They're like digital con artists, kind of, and they love to trick you through email. So you always need to be on guard when you're dealing with messages from strangers, especially if they come from weird links or sketchy attachments. Don't click on them, don't take the bait. And yes, that was a pun intended. Malware, short for malicious software, comes in all shapes and sizes from worms to Trojans. You've probably heard about these things, right? And these little devils can mess with your data and systems big time. But the key to keeping them at bay is to think of this as your digital armor, right? Keeping them at bay by using firewalls, antivirus software, and keeping your software up to date, which is actually super important. I know you get the notifications and you just say, I'll worry about that later. But I want you to stop doing that, okay? Because keeping your stuff up to date is super duper important. Now, here's a real nasty one, and we're talking about ransomware. These are digital thugs that lock up your data and then ask you for a ransom, like an actual monetary ransom. So, to dodge this, you always want to keep your guard up. And as a safety net, you want to regularly back up your important data. And I don't know if you've ever heard of business email compromise, but it happens when cyber criminals impersonate someone from your work. So when you get an email from an unfamiliar source, you need to stay sharp and don't be too quick to trust it just because you think it is coming from within your organization. Now, the next item can be a real troublemaker, whether it's happening on purpose or by accident. And what we're talking about is insider threats. It's super important to keep a close watch on who has access to what and put measures in place to keep those things in check. A lot of companies will perform an access permissions review at a minimum every year, but sometimes every quarter. So if you are a business owner and you're not doing that right now, you really need to. And then last but not least, we've got supply chain attacks. They're like sneaky little intruders who find a way through a back door. And so to avoid them, you need to be picky about who you're partnering with and who your vendors are and make sure that they're as committed to security as you are. Okay, I get cyber awareness is important, but why do I care? Well, the thing is, cyber attacks can have a direct impact on you as an individual. So let's quickly break down the ways in which you might be affected personally. First up, we've got this thing called identity theft. It's like someone trying to snatch your online digital identity. And so to protect that version of you, you need to start with strong passwords and two-factor authentication at an absolute minimum, because those are your kind of like your personal digital bodyguards. Second is going to be financial loss. And when it comes to your hard earned money, you really need to act fast. If you see transactions that you didn't make, you need to report them ASAP. That means that you'll have to cancel any affected accounts and get in touch with authorities. So, for example, if you notice something weird on your bank statement, you need to let your bank know immediately. When it comes to loss of privacy, you need to understand that your privacy is really like a treasure, and you want to keep it safe and hidden from digital pirates. So start with some security software. There are a lot of free software out there, or you can beef up your digital fence with paid options. Our company actually uses several security tools to protect data. So keep in mind that you can use more than one software to enact a digital defense strategy known as defense in depth. You also need to think twice before sharing your personal information online, because not everybody needs to know your life story. And again, be super careful with strange emails to avoid becoming a victim of a phishing scam. So finally, think about the possible reputational damage that you could suffer, because your online reputation is kind of a big deal. And so you want to keep it sparkling. So you need to keep an eye out on your online accounts and think before you post. When it comes to cyber attacks, it's not just about companies or governments. It's also about people like you and me. We have seen how cyber threats can affect individuals, but what about businesses? Understanding that these are repercussions are the key. These are the keys to safeguarding your enterprise. So if you're a business owner, you really want to listen up. First off, we're going to have the financial blow, which to a lot of businesses is really the most important. But honestly, they're all pretty equal. Cyber attacks lead to a loss of revenue in two ways, actually. The initial incident, which can be very costly, and then there are expenses of the recovery process. So it's definitely not cheap. The next is downtime. Think of cyber attacks kind of like traffic jams in the digital world. They cause downtime, which translates to reduced productivity and a lot of missed opportunities. And we know that time equals money. So downtime can have a humongous impact on your business. Something we don't often think about could be customer trust, but it's more important than you might think. When sensitive information is compromised, it's not just your data that's at stake, it's also the trust of your customers. A cyber attack can really damage your business's reputation and lead to a loss of customer loyalty. And just to put it in perspective, a recent study by Bain and Company found that increasing customer loyalty by as little as 5% can increase a company's profits by up to 95%. So imagine what a loss of loyalty can do. And finally, legal consequences. Non-compliance with data protection laws can land your business in very hot water. It might mean that you face legal and regulatory consequences, which include penalties, lawsuits, and things like that can seriously harm your business's financial stability. So what's the solution? You've got to take proactive steps, and you can start by enacting cybersecurity measures that are absolutely critical, and we're about to go over them. And then you want to start providing employee training on best practices, like keeping software up to date and properly responding to a cyber attack. So again, we'll go over that in just a second. If the consequences of poor cyber awareness are not quite hitting home, it may help to look at a few real world examples of breaches that you actually might have heard of. The first is in 2013, cyber criminals breached the retail giant Target. Um, Everybody knows who Target is, right? They breached their network by compromising a third-party HVAC vendor's credentials, which means they gained access to customer data that included credit card information. So the breach exposed the credit card data of over 40 million customers and personal info of an additional 70 million people. Target then faced a significant loss in customer trust, faced a bunch of lawsuits and regulatory fines. So overall, the incident cost Target over $200 million. Then in 2017, Equifax suffered a massive data breach where attackers exploited a vulnerability in Equifax's website software to gain access to personal and financial information, actually. The breach exposed the personal data of over 147 million Americans. And as a result, Equifax had intense public scrutiny and regulatory fines. And again in 2017, obviously 2017 was not a good year for cybersecurity in business. The WannaCry ransomware attack targeted computer systems worldwide. If you don't know what WannaCry ransomware is, just know it exploited a vulnerability in Microsoft Windows, which means it encrypted data on infected computers and demanded a ransom in the form of Bitcoin in order to release it. The attack affected a ton of organizations, including the UK's National Health Service, which resulted in a disruption to patient care. Other businesses and government agencies faced data loss and incurred significant financial losses. So it was a huge breach, and it's often used in a lot of cybersecurity textbooks now as one of the biggest examples of what can happen if you don't perform security patches. When it comes to cybersecurity awareness, it's all about really staying ahead of the curve and protecting what's important. So here are three key areas that you really need to prioritize. The first is email. Think of your email as the gateway to a digital world. It's where important stuff flows in and out. And in order to protect you and your business, you need to be a bit of an email detective, actually. It means that you have to keep an eye out for suspicious emails. You have to dodge phishing attempts like you're Neo in the Matrix or something. And you really have to tackle any malware threats. Then we have social media. We all love to use social media to stay connected, right? It's like a virtual party where we get together with friends and share what we've been up to, mostly pictures of our pets or funny memes. But social media really isn't all fun and games because cyber criminals, not just our friends and family, are looking around waiting to see what we're posting. It's why it's so important to learn how to spot social engineering tricks and steer clear of online scams. So make sure you lock down your personal information. And then an up and comer, artificial intelligence is like the shiny new toy that we have in this toy chest. It's really exciting, promising, it's changing the way we do business. But just like any new adventure, it comes with its own set of challenges and potential pitfalls. Picture AI as a really powerful tool in your business arsenal that can help you make smarter decisions, analyze data, and streamline operations. But like any powerful tool, it can really be mishandled and cause unintended consequences. So definitely be careful with that. We're going to make cybersecurity a breeze and we'll have a little fun along the way. So let's look at some of these cybersecurity best practices that are really going to help you stay safe in the digital world. Obviously, the first thing is using strong passwords. You want to make them very strong and unique, and don't forget to give them a makeover every now and then, just like you would when you update your wardrobe. You have to change it every so often to stay up with trends, right? Second is two-factor authentication. Sometimes we call it multi-factor authentication or 2FA. It's kind of like a digital sidekick, like Batman and Robin. It's like having a secret handshake, really, that unlocks your accounts, or like a special door knock, right? If somebody snags your password, then they can't get in because they don't have that 2FA code or that secret handshake or that secret knock. And then we have phishing scams. We don't want to be fooled by phishing scams, obviously. So you need to make sure to verify requests, be cautious with email links, and teach yourself to be an online detective in order to spot phishing attempts. Don't forget about safe browsing habits, which include sticking to trusted websites and avoiding really sketch or shady links. That kind of seems like an obvious, but you'd really be surprised at how many people fall victim to it because the criminals are getting smarter and smarter and they're learning ways to get around things like that. Don't forget, speaking of, don't forget to safeguard your personal information. Avoid sharing personal stuff online and be mindful of what you're telling and to whom. And then finally, make sure to apply patches and system updates. This is what keeps cyber criminals from exploiting vulnerabilities. So you remember in the WannaCry ransomware, we talked about that. They exploited a vulnerability that was within a patch. So make sure you keep your systems up to date and you perform those updates. I know it's a pain sometimes, but it can save you in the long run. All right. Security isn't just an IT thing. It's kind of an all of us thing. We're really in this together. So you have to start by encouraging a security conscious mindset. You need to talk about cybersecurity often, discuss the importance of safeguarding sensitive information, and just keep everyone in the know. And really, leadership has to set the tone. You got to get your top dogs on board because they're the trailblazers. When they show how cybersecurity awareness is done, it creates a culture that trickles down to everyone else. And encouraging effective cybersecurity training, even if it just starts by having your employees watch a video like this one, is very important. You need to start equipping your team with the know how to spot risk and avoid breaches because, as you can see, it's a major detriment to your business if you have a breach. So, your employees need to understand just how important their role is in making sure your company and their paycheck really stays safe online. It really is time to make cybersecurity and cyber awareness a top priority. I really hope that you found this information not only informative, but also empowering. Cybersecurity may not currently be a major effort in your business, but it honestly should be. And if it seems overwhelming and you need a little help implementing best practices, we are here to help. If you go to our website, you can request a free security risk assessment will help you build a security conscious framework, or you can reach out directly to me using the information on screen. All right, guys, thank you again. My name is Neely Faulkner with Overwatch Technology. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you in the next video.